Today I'm going to show you how to make this super cute Santa hat. It has a really long hat part and then this puffy brim that we use popcorn stitch for. You're going to need a skein of yarn. I used Heartland Lion brand. I got this at Joann Fabrics. It's color number 99. It has a nice like shine to it, and it's a nice deep red. I also used the buttercream angel hair. I also got this at Joann's, and I used this for the white part. And then for my pom-pom, I don't have the name of this. I got this red and white twist at Hobby Lobby. So hopefully you can find it, or you can twist your red and your white yarn together to make a pom-pom. And watch one of my pom-pom tutorials for pom-pom. I have both the cardboard version or the pom-pom maker version. So you'll need some twisted yarn for that. You're going to need a 3 3/4 millimeter hook, or you could even go to a 4 to 4.5 millimeter hook if you want. I used a small one because I wanted my stitching pretty tight, but you're going to be measuring your actual head, so you can just, you know, kind of vary within those measurements. And then for the puff part, I used a 6.5 millimeter hook. So you'll need 2 hooks and some scissors, and we are gonna have some fun doing this. Please click subscribe so I can keep bringing you cute stuff and new crafts all the time. And let's get started. Okay, so to get started, we're going to make a slip knot. You're going to put your hook into that loop and cinch it up. And we're going to chain 4. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Then we're going to go back to our initial loop and put our hook into it, and we're going to close it up by doing a slip stitch. So we're going to pull the yarn over, pull through, and pull through. So now we have a little tiny circle here. And then what we want to do is find the middle of that circle right there, and we're going to work within that circle. We're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to do 12 double crochet within the circle. So we want to yarn over, go into the middle, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're going to do that actually 11 times because we're going to count this first chain as one of our double crochets. So yarn over, go back into the center, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. My hook is a little small for this yarn, so it's probably going to get caught up a little bit. The yarn calls for a 5 millimeter, but I wanted the hat kind of tight, and so I've chosen a 3 3/4 millimeter hook, so I might get a little caught up. So we're just going to continue doing this until we have 12 double crochets on in our circle here. So yarn over, go into the middle, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and yarn over, pull through 2. So when you've done that 11 times, because we don't count that first chain 3, I will meet you back here. Okay, so I have done my actually 11 double crochets, and we're counting this chain as our first one, and now we want to close up this round. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our hook in the top of our first double crochet, and we are going to yarn over, pull through, and yarn over, or not yarn over, and just pull through. So now we have closed up this first row. Now what we want to do is put 12 double crochets into this next area that we have created. So we're going to yarn over, or we're going to chain 3. And this time we're not going to count our chain. We're going to go into this first stitch, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Yarn over again, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And you'll work your way all the way around this next round, and I will meet you at the end of it. You will have 12 double crochets in this round. Okay, so I am at the end of this round, and we're going to slip stitch to close it up. We're going to go into this top of our first double crochet, not our chain, and yarn over and pull through and pull through. So that is the beginning of our little hat. We're going to chain 3 again. And we don't necessarily need to count our stitches now. We are going to start our increases. So in this first little area, we are going to do 1 double crochet. So yarn over, go through that first loop, yarn over, pull through, and pull through 2, and then we're going to do 2 in our next space. So yarn over, go into the next space, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, and then back into that same space again, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. Now we're going to go back and just do 1. So we're going to repeat 1, 2, 1, 2 all the way around. We're going to do 1 double crochet in this space. Now we're going to do 2 double crochets in the next space. There's the first one, go back into that same space, and there's the second one. So you're going to do that all the way around, just 1, 2, 1, 2, and then I will meet you and we will close up this row and work on the next one. Okay, so we finished the going back and forth between 1 and 2 double crochets in each loop. We're going to close up this row by doing another slip stitch in the top of our first double crochet. Yarn over, pull through, and pull through. Now we're going to chain 3. And in our next row, we're just going to do a double crochet into each loop. We're not going to increase, we just want to elongate our hat just a little bit. So we're going to yarn over, go into this first chain, yarn over, pull through, and pull through, go into the next loop, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, and the next loop. So we're going to do this all the way around just to get a little length into our hat. Okay, we finished this row. We're going to close it up with a slip stitch at the top of our first double crochet, not our chain. And then the next row, we're going to do 5 double crochets, and then we're going to do 2 together. So we're going to chain 3. We'll always chain 3 when we start this hat, and I have the toughest time chaining 3 with this needle. 2, 3. Okay, so I'm going to go into our first chain and do a single double crochet, go into the next one, do a double crochet, the next one, a double crochet, the next one, a double crochet, and the next one. So a total of 5. Now we're going to put 2 in the next chain. So 1, and then go back into that same loop again and do another. And then we're going to do another 5 single. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to do 2 in the next chain. So 1 and 2, and you're going to repeat that all the way around till you get to the end. Okay, so I'm at the end. It doesn't perfectly match up where you have an additional, 5 even and 1 double. You just end where you end, and then you're going to slip stitch into your first double crochet. And our next row, we're just going to do another set of single double crochets. So chain 3. And then all the way around, we're just going to go into each loop and do a double crochet. So just work all the way around, and then we will start our increases for good. So I'll meet you back up when you're done with this row. Okay, so we finished that double crochet row, and we're going to close with a slip stitch. And then from here on out, you're going to continually increase. So you'll always chain 3. And we're going to do 6 double crochets, and then we're going to do 2 together. And then in the next row, we're going to go 7 double crochets and 2 together. And then the next row, we're going to do 8 and 2 together, gradually opening up our hat to fit our head, but we want it to fit somewhat snugly. So we'll start with this row, yarn over, go through that first loop, and we're going to do 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're going to do 2 together. 1, 2. Then we're going to do another 6 and 2 together, going all the way around the hat. Okay, so we've done our 6 and our 2 together. We're going to close this row and chain 3, and we're going to do 7 and 2 together, and then we're going to do 8 and 2 together in the next row, and just keep working out. And when you get to the size, if you're doing a baby hat, then you'll get to the width of a baby's head, but you'll kind of be working, you want it to fit kind of snugly, because we still have the brim to add to the hat. So I will show you sizing as I get closer to my size and take it from there. You kind of want it to sit on the back of the head, kind of like a yarmulke or something. You don't want it to cover the entire head like a hat yet, because we need to allow for that brim, or it's going to be too thick. And as far as length, we can make it as long as you want. So just work until you get to that width, and I'll let you know how many stitches I ended up going to for mine. But I'm going to continue on my 7 and then 2 double crochets and so on and so forth till I get to that point, and then I'll meet up with you and I'll let you know how many stitches. Okay, so I have done 13 single double crochets, and then in the 14th hole I have done 2. So I've gotten my width to where I want it, and actually you want to err on the side of being a little small, because this stretches, and you want to you don't want it to be too big when you're done. Once we put the white puff stitches on, it's going to be even wider. So I have like a styrofoam head. Let me see if I can zoom out a little bit. And the styrofoam head is sideways, so this is the eyes and this is the back of the skull basically. And you just want to make sure that your hat can kind of fit around like that. So this would be the ear right here. This would be the nape of the neck. And then, you know, this would be the forehead. So I think that's a good size for mine. Now I just need to work on the length. And you can just put this on your head, or if you're making it for a child, you would have stopped, you know, a few rows back in your width. And if it's not enough, then just continue on, you know, doing 2 stitches in your 14th chain and then in your 15th, working your way out. But I'm going to stop here. I'm going to chain 3. And then I'm going to double crochet into the next loop. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go into the next chain, yarn over, pull through, oops, pull through 2. My little hook is giving me problems on this project. And yarn over, pull through 2. So I'm going to go all the way around, and then I'm going to join here with a slip stitch, and then I'm going to continue on row after row after row, not increasing at all, but just single double crochets in each chain until I get a nice long Santa hat, and make it as long as I want. I'll let you know how many rows I do of that when I am done. Okay, so I have done 9 additional rows. If you can see here, you can see all of my increases coming down, and then I did 9 rows of single double crochet. So I have the length that I want. I'm going to go ahead and start on the cuff part of the hat that is white. I'm going to finish off my last row by going into my first chain 3 and closing up my work by pulling through and then pull through again. So I'm going to cut that and pull it all the way through, and that part is done. So now I want to start on my popcorn stitches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my white yarn and I'm going to do a slip knot. And I'm going to go where actually, to finish this off, you can pull through with your hook back and forth to kind of weave the tail in and out of a few stitches, and then you can cut it. That way it's a nice clean finish. So just use your hook and pull it through here and there. When I pulled my yarn through, it kind of frayed a little bit, so I don't want to just cut it. So just weave it back and forth a few times and then trim it up, and we're all good. Okay, so I had used a 3 3/4 hook for this part of the hat, and it gave me the look that I wanted. I wanted a little bit of a tighter weave. Now I'm going to switch my hook, and I'm going to use a 6.5mm hook for my puffy part of my hat. So I'm going to go in, just, I guess, any random chain, and I'm going to pull this slip knot through, and then I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now I'm going to go into my next stitch and do a double crochet. So yarn over, pull through, and pull through. Okay, so now I have 2 posts on my hat. In the next stitch, I'm going to do 5 double crochets in this single stitch. So I'm going to yarn over, go into this loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. That's 1. I'm going to yarn over, go back into that same hole, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. That's 2. Yarn over, back into the same hole, yarn over, pull through, and pull through. That's 3. Again, and one more time in that same hole. So now I have 5 stitches in 1. Okay, now I'm going to take these 5 stitches that I just put in. I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to put it in the top of the first of the 5, not these 2. We're going to leave these, but just the first of the 5. And this is a little tricky. You can take your hook out and join them coming through this way, but I think it's faster just to kind of loop over and pull through, and it kind of twists your yarn a little bit. So if it gets twisted up, just kind of untwist it as you pull through. But it seems to work fine for me. So I have made my first popcorn stitch here. If you can see it, if I can unravel myself. So I've got 2 double crochets and my first popcorn stitch. So I'm going to go into the next stitch. I'm going to yarn over, find my next stitch, and do another double crochet. And I'm going to go into the next stitch and do another double crochet. Okay, now I'm going to do another popcorn stitch, so I'm going to do 5 double crochets in my next stitch. So 1, yarn over 2, yarn over 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of turn it, find the end of that first set of 5, put my hook in the top, loop my yarn around, and pull it through. Try and keep your work loose, otherwise it's a little tough to pull that through. So now I have 2 popcorn stitches. So you just continue all the way around, doing 2 double crochets and then 5 in the next chain, and then making that popcorn stitch. So I'll show you one more time. There's 1 into the next chain, 1 into the next chain, and then we're going to go 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we're going to close it up, finding the top of the first of 5, loop it around and pull it through. So I've got 3 popcorn stitches on there. So go ahead and continue all the way around. It's 2 and then 5, 2 and 5, all the way till you get to the end. Okay, and I'll meet you back up when you're done. Okay, so I am almost finished with my first row. I have my popcorn stitch, and I have my 2 double crochet, and then here I have my chain 3 and another double crochet. So I need to fit one more popcorn stitch in between here because we need it to not have any gaps. So what I'm going to do is go right in where I started my chain, and I'm going to do 5 more double crochets just to keep the pattern. I'm going to use that exact same hole as the chain 3 so that we have a popcorn stitch in between, because it's fine to have things kind of compressed together because we want the hat to look nice and full. So I'm going to finish my last popcorn stitch here, go in the top, close it up, and then I'm going to go into my chain and pull through a slip stitch all the way through. So that is my first row. We can pull this through with our hook later. Now we want to stagger our work. So we don't want our popcorn stitches right on top of each other. So I'm going to do one double crochet into, or actually I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to do a double crochet right next to my popcorn stitch here, because my chain 3 was in the other stitch. And I'm going to do another double crochet right in the middle of my popcorn stitch. So there's 2 double crochets, and now in between the double crochets there's a little gap here. I'm going to put a popcorn stitch in that gap. So I'm going to do 5. Just got to cut a little bit. Yarn over, go into that middle area, and do the 5 stitches. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now I'm going to close up my popcorn stitch, make it pop. Okay, now we need to put 2 more double crochets in. So I'm going to go next to my popcorn and then in the middle of my popcorn for 2 more just single double crochets. So there is next to the popcorn is 1, and in the middle of the popcorn is 2. Now, again, we're going to go into this gap in between, and we're going to do 5 more double crochets in that gap to do another popcorn stitch. 3, 4, and 5. Close it up. Oops. Okay, so now we have 2 popcorn stitches, and you can see how they're staggering now, so it'll make a nice full little Santa hat when we're done. So again, we're going to go right to the right of that popcorn stitch, put in a single double crochet, and then we're going to go into the middle of the popcorn stitch and do another single double crochet, and then we're going to go into this gap and do our 5. So you're going to do that all the way around. So just go to the right of the popcorn, in the middle of the popcorn, and then 5, and then to the right of the popcorn, middle of the popcorn, and 5. So I will meet you back for the next row when we are done with this one, and it's basically a repeat. We just stagger it once again so that our popcorns are evenly staggered throughout the hat. Okay, so I've gotten to the end of my second row, and as you can see, I've got 1 popcorn stitch here, and then I have 2 remaining popcorn stitches in my first row, and then I have the one that starts here. So really I need to put 1 more right in here, and this is where my chain started. So depending on how many stitches you had in your last row of your red part of your hat, things may or may not match up. So luckily there's a lot of forgiveness in this pattern, so you'll be able to just kind of work it in as you can. So what we're going to do is I'm going to finish up by finishing my original pattern of yarning over and going into the doing a double crochet to the right, and then 1 in the middle of the popcorn, and then by following my pattern, technically I would be putting in 1 more additional popcorn stitch here. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to ignore my chain 3. I'm going to go ahead and do 5 double crochets in the place where it needs to be, and then make my popcorn stitch, and then go ahead and chain off. So there's 3, 4, close up my stitch. Okay, so now I have that last popcorn stitch. So I'm going to go into the top of my double crochet and just do a single chain stitch to finish it off. So there we go. Second row is done, and on to the third and final. So we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then we're just going to repeat what we did before. And again, I'm going to end right here like I did here, and I'm going to put one more popcorn stitch here. But to start, we're going to go to the right of the existing popcorn stitch and do a double crochet, and then into the middle of the popcorn stitch below and do another double crochet. And then I'm going to do a popcorn stitch on the left of it. So 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to close up by going back into that first of the set of 5. Okay, so I am almost done with my third row. I have, here is my chain 3 that I started with, my 2 single double crochets and my popcorn stitch. So I have this gap here. So I'm going to continue the pattern going into the stitch to the right of the popcorn stitch, going into the popcorn stitch with a single double crochets. And that one kind of got all messed up, so I'll do it again. And then I'm going to put a popcorn stitch right here next to this other popcorn stitch, just following our same pattern that we've been doing. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then close it up. And then I've done 3 rows of this, and I'm happy with the height of my actual little brim. So I am going to close it up by going into the top of my chain 3 with a slip stitch, and then one more slip stitch. I'm going to pull it tight, grab my scissors, cut it, pull out my loose end, and then I'm going to weave in my extra yarn back and forth through my previous stitches. Now you can continue on by doing your slip stitch and doing an additional chain 3 up, and then starting and repeating your pattern again, which you could go on and on as long as you wanted, you know, to thicken up your brim. And then just finish off the same way, following the same pattern. So the next step, after you weave in and finish off your little straggling, is adding your pom-pom to the end. And I have tutorials on how to add pom-poms into beanie hats, and it's basically the same concept. So I'm not going to do a pom-pom tutorial for this because you can watch one of my other ones. There's ones how to make it with the clover pom-pom maker, and you want to use a small clover pom-pom maker, or you can use a piece of cardboard. You also want to pull this tail through, and I'm just going to kind of pull it through some of my work here before I cut it. So just kind of weave it through back and forth to make sure it's kind of secured down in, and trim it up. And then you have an adorable Santa hat that you're going to sew your pom-pom onto by turning it inside out and sewing it there in the middle. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and please subscribe to my channel if you want to see other videos like this and see the cute stuff.